Leora had always heard strange stories about humans. Every child in her village grew up with the same warning: never trust a human male. They eat their females after bonding. No one knew where the story came from. No one had ever met a human. But the fear lived in every heart. Except Leora's. She was different, too curious, too brave. She did not believe everything the elders said. To her, humans were only another species, maybe strange, but not monsters. That was before she arrived on the research base near the deadly jungle planet. That was before she saw a human with her own eyes. That was before she met Evan. From the moment she saw him, the stories returned to her mind like dark shadows. Evan was taller than she expected, broad-shouldered, strong-looking, with calm blue eyes that made him seem both gentle and dangerous at the same time. He carried tools, metal containers, and strange objects she had never seen before. He was nothing. Like the stories, which made her even more confused. For many days, she secretly watched him from a distance. She hid behind trees or old broken machines, her pink eyes following every move he made. She wanted to understand humans. She wanted to learn the truth. One night changed everything. The sky was dark and cold, and the sound of insect songs filled the air around the camp. Evan stood near his small tent, preparing something on a metal stove. The firelight lit his face, and shadows danced around him. He sliced a thick piece of meat with a sharp knife, so sharp, Leora felt a shiver run through her tail. She remembered the old words, "Human males eat their females." Her heart started beating faster. Evan lifted the knife again, cutting the meat with slow, careful moves. The fire hissed. The smell of cooked food spread in the air, warm, heavy, almost sweet. Leora had never seen a human cook before. But the sharp blade and the red meat made her imagination run wild. Is this how they prepare their partners? Do they really do that? She wanted to run. She wanted to scream. But she couldn't. Her curiosity chained her to the spot. Just then, Evan turned his head a little, and Leora ducked behind a large tree. Her breath shook. She had watched him many times before, but tonight everything felt different. The knife looked more dangerous. The meat looked more violent. And the stories felt more real. Slowly, very slowly, she peeked again. Evan was humming softly, something humans called a song. He didn't seem dangerous. His face looked peaceful as he cooked, but Leora's fear grew stronger anyway. It was not Evan she feared. It was the unknown. Her world had always been gentle, soft, full of light. Human tools, human food, human ways. They were rough and sharp. And the stories her people told were sharper than any blade. She wanted to leave. But then she saw something that froze her in place. Evan picked up another piece of meat, bigger than the first. He lifted it close to his face, inspecting it carefully. The firelight reflected in his eyes, making them look bright and cold. He reached for the knife again. Leora's heart jumped. Was this some kind of ritual? She held her breath and stepped back slowly. Crack! A stick snapped under her foot. Evan instantly turned around. Their eyes met. Leora felt her blood turn to ice. Her legs refused to move. For a moment, everything became silent. No insects, no fire sound, nothing. Only her loud heartbeat filled her ears. Evan lowered the knife. "Hey, are you okay?" he asked softly. Leora could not speak. Her throat felt locked. Evan took one slow step forward, trying not to scare her. "It's all right," he said. "I won't hurt you." But Leora didn't trust his words. She remembered the stories again and again. The knife in his hand looked bigger than before. His shadow looked longer. His voice, though gentle, felt too calm, too practiced. Almost like a predator hiding. Patience, she stepped back. Evan stopped moving, sensing her fear. "It's okay," he said again. "I'm not dangerous." But she didn't believe him. The stories whispered in her head. Human males are dangerous. Human males eat They're females. Run before they catch you. Leora slowly looked around, trying to find a path to escape. But Evan noticed her panic and raised both hands to show he meant no harm. I won't chase you, he promised. Just tell me if you're hurt. His kindness only confused her. More, Dad, why was he acting like this if the stories were true? Why wasn't he attacking? Why wasn't he trying to trap her? Nothing made sense. Her breathing grew fast and shaky. She took one step back, then another. Evan didn't move. He simply watched her with worried eyes. Leora did the only thing her instincts allowed. She turned around and ran into the darkness. Evan watched her disappear between the trees, wondering who she was and why she feared him so deeply. Leora ran with all her strength, but one thought stayed in her mind the whole time. If humans really eat their females, then she had just met the most dangerous male in the galaxy. Leora did not stop running until the lights of the camp were far behind her. She leaned against a thick tree, gasping for breath, her hands shaking so hard she could barely keep herself standing. The stories she never believed suddenly felt alive. Her mind replayed Evan's face over and over, the calm blue eyes, the knife in his hand, the way he looked at her with worry instead of anger. That confused her even more. If human males truly ate females, then why had he looked concerned? Fear and curiosity fought inside her chest. Maybe he hides his true nature, she thought. Maybe he waits for the right moment. But then she remembered something else. He had not chased her. Predators always chased. Humans were confusing. The next morning, Leora tried to avoid the human camp, but fate had other plans. While collecting samples for her research team, she spotted Evan again. He was carrying heavy metal boxes, moving them from the storage shed to his tent. He looked normal. Too normal. She hid behind a fallen log, watching him carefully. Her people always said humans were aggressive, impatient, rude, but Evan looked nothing like the image in her mind. He moved with quiet calm, humming the same soft tune she heard last night. And then he did something she never expected. Rescued a small wounded creature. A tiny jungle animal, barely alive, lay beside the path. Evan saw it, dropped his boxes instantly, and picked it up in gentle hands. He touched the creature's fur softly, whispering to it as if it could understand him. Then he carried it back to his tent and began treating its wounds with strange human medicine. Leora stared in disbelief. A male who eats his females, but saves a tiny animal? Nothing made sense anymore. She crept closer without thinking. She wanted to see more. She wanted to understand the creature called human. But then Evan noticed her. He didn't stand up. He didn't shout. He simply looked at her. You again, he said softly. Are you still scared? Leora froze like a stone. Her throat locked again. Her mind screamed at her to run, but her legs refused. Evan lifted both hands slowly, showing he had no weapons. I'm not dangerous, he said. See? No knife. But Leora's eyes moved to the table behind him. The knife was still there. The sharp one she saw last night. Evan followed her gaze. Oh, he said quietly. That's for cooking, not for anything else. His tone was honest, almost embarrassed. Leora didn't understand. Humans cooked? Humans prepared food so carefully. Her species ate raw fruits and soft plants. They didn't use fire or sharp metal tools. Everything about him felt alien. Evan took out a small packet of dried fruit and placed it on the ground between them. You look hungry, he sighed. This is safe, sweet, no meat. Leora looked at the packet like it was a trap. Maybe humans fed their females first to make them trust. Maybe this was the method. She stepped 1 inch back. Evan sighed softly. Okay, I'll leave it here. And then he did something shocking. He walked away. He didn't wait. He didn't expect her to take the food. He didn't even look back. He simply returned to the injured animal, continuing his gentle work. Leora's fear twisted into confusion. Predators didn't behave this way. Her elders always said humans were selfish. Yet Evan was helping a creature that wasn't even his species. Why? She waited until Evan went inside his tent, then she crept toward the packet. One slow step. Another. Her hands trembled as she picked it up. The fruit smelled sweet. Her stomach tightened with hunger. She looked back at Evan's tent. No movement, no danger. She tasted one piece. It was good. Very good, but instead of relief, a new fear grew inside her mind. What if he wants something in return? What if this is how he bonds with a female? What if the stories were not lies, just misunderstood? The misunderstanding grew deeper, twisting Leora's thoughts until she no longer knew what to believe. Later that night, Leora found herself again near Evan's fire, hidden behind the same tree as before. She watched him cook, but this time she noticed something new. He ate the meat himself. He didn't prepare it for anyone else. He didn't hunt any females. He didn't act like the monster from the stories. He looked lonely. He sat by the fire alone, poking at his food like it had no flavor. His face looked tired, almost sad. He turned something small in his fingers, a silver pendant. Maybe a memory. Maybe someone he missed. Leora felt a strange warmth inside her chest. If this human was truly dangerous, why did he look so broken? Why did he save animals? Why did he offer food? Why did he laugh kindly instead of growling or threatening? It frightened her even more. Because now the danger was different. She wasn't just scared of humans. She was scared of her own heart, and how it was slowly changing. For the next 2 days, Leora tried to stay away from the human. Truly she did. She told herself not to return. She told herself he was dangerous. She reminded herself of every story her people believed, but no matter how hard she tried, her feet still led her toward his camp. Curiosity had become stronger than fear. Every time she passed through the jungle, her eyes drifted toward the small clearing where Evan lived. His tent, his metal stove, his boxes, his tools, they all felt like pieces of a puzzle she didn't understand. A puzzle she needed to solve. But the biggest piece was Evan himself. That morning, she saw him sitting alone on a log, fixing a broken communicator. Sparks flashed from the device, but he focused calmly, adjusting tiny wires with steady hands. His hair was messy, his wrists dirty from work, but something about him looked peaceful. Leora watched him quietly, hiding behind a large vine. Evan suddenly touched his chest and winced. The wound from the predator attack, she remembered it. A long scratch running across his side. Humans were soft-bodied, not protected by scales or bioplates. When the creature attacked her that night, he had stepped in front of it without thinking. Her people said humans didn't care about others. But Evan had protected her. Another story broken. She kept watching. After a while, Evan sighed and put the broken communicator aside. He stretched his arms, looked up at the sky, and whispered something she didn't understand. Another day alone. The loneliness in his voice hit her like a cold wind. She didn't know humans could sound like that. Before she could step back, her foot slipped on a small stone click. Evan's head snapped toward the sound. Leora froze. This time, he didn't pretend he didn't see her. He stood up slowly, raising his hands to show he wasn't armed. "You don't have to hide," he said softly. "I know you're there." Leora's heart jumped in her chest. She tried to move away, but her leg was stuck between two roots. She struggled silently, panic rising. Evan noticed. He approached carefully, step by step, as if he were approaching a frightened animal. "I'm not going to hurt you," he repeated. His voice was low, warm, meant to calm her. It worked a little, but only a little. When he reached her hiding spot, he saw the problem. Her ankle was trapped. "You're stuck," he said gently. "Let me help." Leora shook her head fast. "No, It was the first word she had spoken to him. Evan blinked. "You can talk?" Leora immediately regretted speaking. She looked down, cheeks warm with embarrassment. Her species rarely talked to outsiders. It wasn't shame, it was culture. But Evan didn't push. He just smiled softly. "It's okay," he said. "I won't touch you if you don't want me to." He crouched down beside her and examined the root. "You can pull your leg free. If I move this piece, see?" He touched the large root gently, not her. With a soft crack, it shifted. Leora pulled her leg out quickly and stood up. Evan backed away to give her space, for the first time. They stood face to face. Leora's breath trembled. Evan looked at her with awe. It was the first proper contact between them. "I'm Evan," he said quietly. She swallowed. Leora. Her voice was tiny but clear. Evan's smile widened just a little, not too much, not enough to scare her. He pointed at the boxes near his tent. "I have supplies. If you ever need water or help, you can come here. You don't need to watch from far away." Leora's eyes widened. He knew she had been watching. Evan chuckled softly. "You're not very quiet." His tone was teasing but gentle. Leora felt heat rise in her cheeks again. She took one step back, ready to flee again, but Evan shook his head. "Don't run. Please, I want to understand you." The honesty in his voice stopped her feet. He slowly sat down on the log again, giving himself a lower position so he wouldn't look threatening. "You can stay there," he said, pointing to the tree she usually hid behind. "Just talk to me." Leora looked at him with confused, wide eyes. Humans asked before coming close. Humans respected distance. Her people had been wrong about so much. She took a small breath and sat behind the tree, still hidden, but closer than before. Evan didn't try to see her. He looked straight ahead. It made her feel strangely safe. After a long silence, Evan spoke again. "Why are you afraid of me?" Leora hesitated, then whispered, "Stories? Stories?" He repeated, "What kind?" She hugged her knees, ashamed. "That human males eat their females." Evan froze. For 5 seconds he said nothing, then he burst into laughter. A warm, deep, surprised laugh. Leora jumped at the sound. I knew it," she said. "You are dangerous." No. Evan wiped his eyes, still laughing softly. "Leora, humans don't eat each other. That's a huge misunderstanding." Leora peeked from behind the tree. "But you cut meat. With knife, your tools are sharp." "That's for cooking," he said, still smiling. "We only eat animals, not each other." Her chest tightened with confusion again. Cooking? Eating animals? Her species did neither. So many things were new. So many things were scary. But one thing was clear. The human male was not what she expected. Not a monster, not a predator, maybe. Something else entirely. And as the sun set, with firelight dancing between them, something small and fragile began to form. Trust. For the next few days, Leora returned to the human camp again and again, always hiding, always unsure, but never far. Something about Evan kept pulling her back. Maybe it was his gentle voice. Maybe it was his lonely face. Or maybe it was the way he tried to understand her instead of fearing her. But fear still lived inside her heart. Every time he picked up the knife to cook, she flinched. Every time he came a little closer, her tail curled tightly. Every time he asked a question, her voice became small, still. She stayed, and Evan never pushed her away. He talked to her in simple words, explained human things slowly, and never stepped too close. He always let her decide the distance. For the first time in her life, Leora felt seen, not as a creature, not as a rumor, but as a person. But peace never lasts long on a jungle planet. That evening, the sky grew darker than usual. Thick clouds rolled in like waves of smoke. The wind blew strangely cold. Even the insects went silent. Something was wrong. Evan noticed it first. He stood from the fire and scanned the tree line, his expression sharpening. "Leora," he said. Quietly, "Stay close to the tent." She felt her chest tighten. "Why?" "Predators hunt during storms." A loud rumble of thunder answered him. Before Leora could move, a deep growl came from the darkness, low, slow, heavy. Her blood froze. She knew that sound. The jungle beast from the night Evan saved her. The one with 3 glowing eyes and bone spikes. The Razorclaw. Leora stepped backward, her legs shaking. Evan grabbed the metal rod from beside his tent, the only thing he had that could act like a weapon. "Stay behind me," he said firmly. Leora's voice trembled. "Humans protect females?" Evan didn't look back. "Humans protect everyone." The growl grew louder. Evan moved forward slowly. The wind picked up dust and leaves, swirling around them like a warning. Leora's heart pounded so fast she felt dizzy. She wanted to run, but her feet stayed frozen. Something stronger than fear held her in place. Evan. At that moment, the Razorclaw burst from the shadows, huge, shining bone spikes across its back. 3 burning red eyes locked on them. Leora screamed. The beast charged. Evan didn't hide. He didn't hide. He jumped in front of her. The Razorclaw crashed into him with a roar, knocking him to the ground. The metal rod flew from his hand. The beast clawed at him, teeth snapping inches from his face. Evan held its jaw with both hands, muscles shaking with effort. "Run!" he shouted. But Leora couldn't. Instead, she grabbed a large rock and threw it at the Razorclaw. It hit the creature's side with a loud crack. The beast roared and turned toward her. "No!" Evan yelled. He pushed himself up and slammed into the monster again. The Razorclaw swung its massive claws, slashing across Evan's ribs. Blood sprayed on the ground. Leora cried out in horror. Evan stumbled but didn't fall. He grabbed the metal rod from the dirt and struck the beast across its jaw. The Razorclaw howled, backing away just enough for Evan to stand between it and Leora again. He was bleeding badly. But he didn't step aside. "Stay behind me," he said weakly. Leora's breath shook. No male in her species would fight like this. No male would risk his life. Females protected the homes. Males worked the fields. But humans were different. Evan was different. The Razorclaw lunged again. Evan dodged left, swinging the rod into the creature's eye. It screeched, stumbling backward. In its rage, the monster swung blindly, tearing through the tent, smashing equipment, and sending sparks into the air. A tree branch fell from above, crashing onto the campfire. Bright flames exploded outward. Leora covered her face, terrified. Evan grabbed her hand, her first human touch, and pulled her away from the fire. The Razorclaw, half blinded and enraged, turned and fled into the jungle, crashing through the trees with heavy, angry steps. Silence returned. Only the storm remained. Leora stared at Evan, eyes wide with disbelief. His clothes were torn. Blood ran down his side, and his breath came in painful gasps. Yet when he looked at her, he smiled. "See? Not dangerous," he joked weakly. Leora felt her throat close with emotion. "But you got hurt. For me." Evan sat down heavily, one hand pressed to his bleeding ribs. "Anyone would do the same." "No," Leora whispered. "Not anyone. Not males from my world." Evan looked up at her with tired eyes. "Then maybe humans aren't like the stories." The storm thundered overhead, but Leora barely heard it. She knelt in front of him, hands shaking, and gently touched the edge of his wound. "You protected me," she whispered. Like a bonded partner." Evan laughed softly, even through the pain. "Not bond, just being human." Leora's heart burned with confusion and something new. Something warmed out. The truth was becoming clear. Humans didn't eat there. Females Humans protected them, even at the cost of their own blood. And now for the first time, Leora was more afraid of losing the human than of him. Evan's wound was deep, and Leora could see his breath shaking. His face looked pale, his hands trembling softly as he tried to sit up straight. The storm above them roared like a hungry beast, but Leora heard only his weak breaths. She had never been this close to a human before. His skin was warm, his blood smelled different. His heart beat fast against her hand. And yet, he had saved her without a second thought. No story her elders told matched this moment. Leora felt her chest twist painfully. "You should rest," she whispered. Evan gave a soft, tired laugh. "Yeah, that's probably a good idea." But when he tried to stand, his knees buckled. Leora caught his arm quickly, helping him sit again. He blinked at her in surprise but said nothing. The touch seemed to calm him for a moment. Silence. Then Leora asked the question she had feared her whole life. "Evan, do humans eat their females?" Evan stared at her for a full 5 seconds. He said nothing. Then he burst out laughing. Not a little laugh, but a full, surprised, shocked laugh that made him clutch his ribs in pain. It hurts. Don't make me laugh," he groaned. Leora stepped back, confused. "Why are you laughing? It is serious." Evan wiped his eyes. "Leora, humans don't eat their partners. But the stories, they're wrong. Completely wrong," she frowned, trying to understand. "Then why? Why do males cut meat with knives? Why do you put sharp tools near food? Why fire? Why do you say humans eat someone when they like them?" "I hear this in your movies." Evan blinked. Then he burst out laughing again. Oh no, Leora. Oh God." He tried to catch his breath. "That's a figure of speech." "A what?" A metaphor, a joke, expression. Humans say weird things. We don't mean them literally." Leora stared at him with huge, confused eyes. "One human said, I could eat her alive. How is this not literal?" "That means she is cute," Evan explained. Leora's jaw dropped. "Cute equals eating? No." Evan laughed, shaking his head. "It means affection, attraction. Humans use dramatic words for emotions." Leora looked like her brain was melting. "So, you do not eat females?" "No." "You do not cook them?" "Definitely no." "You do not take them to dark rooms for food rituals?" Evan almost fell over laughing. "Leora, what kind of stories did your elders tell you?" She hugged her knees, embarrassed. "My people fear humans. They say you are violent. You bite everything. You use fire. You use metal. You shout. You eat meat." Evan scratched his head awkwardly. "Okay, that part is actually true," Leora gasped loudly. "So you do eat creatures?" "Yes, but not intelligent ones," he corrected. Quickly, "Animals only, never other humans. Never other species." She stared at him for a long moment, thinking hard. "So, you cut meat because you eat animals, not females?" "Yes." "You use fire to cook dead animals, not partners?" "Yes." "You eat someone only in play words, emotion words." "Exactly." Leora placed a hand over her face. "My whole life was a lie." Evan smiled gently. "Most stories are just fear. When species don't understand each other, they imagine the worst." Leora slowly nodded. Understanding came like warm sunlight. Evan extended a hand, slow, careful. She flinched at first, but didn't pull away. "You helped me," he said softly. "You threw a rock at that monster to save me. Why?" Leora's cheeks warmed. "Because you protected me first." Evan's smile grew softer, quieter. "That's what humans do. We protect each other. And we protect those we care about." She looked up sharply. "Care? You care about me?" He hesitated, then nodded slowly. Leora felt her heartbeat stumble. No one in her world had ever said something like that to her, not in that tone, not with that honesty. She didn't know how to react. "Evan," she whispered, "I do not understand humans." "That's okay," he said. "You don't need to understand everything right now. Just know I'm not your enemy." She nodded slightly. The storm finally began to calm. Thunder softened. Rain slowed to quiet drops. The fire crackled low in front of them. For the first time, Leora didn't hide behind a tree. She sat beside him closer than ever. Evan leaned back tiredly. "You know, if your people heard what humans really do to their partners." Leora stiffened. "What do you do?" Evan smirked teasingly. "We give them gifts. Hold them close. Protect them. Love them." Leora froze completely. "The love?" she whispered. Evan shrugged casually. "Yeah, humans are very loyal. Once we bond with someone, we don't let go." Leora's cheeks turned bright pink. She suddenly stood up. I must go," she said quickly. "Too much information today." Evan laughed quietly. "Fair enough." But as she walked away, she touched her chest with trembling fingers, her heart beating strangely fast. Humans didn't eat their females. Humans loved them. Humans protected them, and that truth was far more dangerous to Leora's heart than any razor claw. Leora did not sleep that night. She lay awake in her small shelter, staring at the glowing crystals above her head. Every thought in her mind twisted into the same shape. The shape of a human smile. Evan's smile. His words echoed inside her chest, louder than the storm that had almost killed them both. Humans don't eat their partners. Humans protect the ones they care about. Once we bond, we don't let go. She covered her face with both hands. What did bonding even mean for humans? Why did her heart beat so fast when she remembered the way he looked at her? Why did she feel warm every time she thought about his laugh? Her people told her humans were monsters, but the only monster she had seen was the razor claw, and Evan had fought it alone. She wanted answers, and she wanted them from him. The next morning, Leora walked back to the human camp, pretending she arrived accidentally, but she knew it wasn't an accident. Her feet had walked here willingly. When she reached the clearing, she froze. Evan was outside, training. He held a long metal rod in both hands, swinging it in slow, controlled movements. Sweat covered his forehead. His shirt was torn from yesterday's fight, and his ribs were wrapped in cloth he had tied himself. Even injured, he was practicing to protect himself. Or maybe to protect her. Leora stepped out slowly. Evan heard her instantly. He turned with a soft smile. "You came back." Leora blushed so hard she almost glowed. "I needed to confirm that you are still alive," he laughed. Barely. She moved closer and noticed the shaking in his hands. "You should not be training. Your ribs are healing. Sitting still makes it worse," he said. "Besides, I want to be ready if the razor claw returns." Something warm bloomed in Leora's chest again. "You would fight it again?" she whispered. Evan shrugged lightly. "If it threatens you, yes." Her breath caught. He said it so casually, as if protecting her was normal. Leora looked away quickly. "Humans are strange." Evan laughed. "Compared to you? Definitely." She sat on the ground across from him. Rainwater still glistened on the leaves, making the morning shimmer softly. For a long moment, they didn't talk. Only the soft wind moved between them. Finally, Evan spoke. "Leora, can I ask something?" She nodded carefully. "Why were you so afraid of me before you knew the truth?" Leora hugged her knees. "My people teach fear. They say humans bite, you shout. You hit things, you eat meat. They told us humans destroy everything they touch." Evan sighed softly. "Some humans do, not all." She looked up. "And you? Which are you?" Evan hesitated. His eyes softened. "I'm trying to be one of the good ones." Leora watched him closely. His expression was honest to honest. It made her chest tighten again. She didn't know why humans talked with such open hearts, but she liked it. A breeze brushed past them, carrying the light scent of the cooked fruit from yesterday. Leora leaned forward. "I want to learn more," she admitted, "about humans." Evan's eyebrows rose lightly. "About cooking? Or about everything?" Leora swallowed hard. "Everything," he smiled. "Then let's start small." He walked to the side of his tent and returned with something surprising: sheets of white paper and small sticks with colored tips. "Drawing?" she asked. "Yeah," he said. "It helps calm the mind. Want to try?" Leora hesitated, then nodded. He handed her a sheet and one of the colored sticks. He sat beside her close, but not touching, and began drawing simple lines. A tree, a tent, a star. Leora watched, amazed. "Your hands make shapes, stories, without words." "That's art," Evan said. She tried drawing too, her fingers trembling with excitement. Her first line was crooked. She frowned. "It looks ugly." Evan peeked over her shoulder. "It looks like a beginning." Leora felt warmth spread across her face. They drew together for a while, quiet, peaceful. No fear, no confusion, just presence. But the peace ended when Leora asked the question she had been holding since last night. "Evan, when humans bond, what does it mean?" Evan paused mid-stroke. His cheeks turned slightly red. "Well, it means two people choose each other. They trust each other deeply. They share food, home, time, life." Leora's heart skipped 3 beats. "Share life?" "Yeah," Evan said softly. "Humans take love seriously," Leora swallowed. "And if someone bonds with a human, can they leave?" Evan met her eyes. "No, humans don't break bonds easily." Her breath shook. She looked down at her drawing, her hands trembling slightly. She didn't realize Evan was watching her carefully. He noticed every small expression, every blush, every soft breath. "Leora," he said gently, "you don't have to choose anything now." She didn't answer, because in her heart, something dangerous was forming. She had come to learn about humans, but instead, she was slowly learning what it felt like to be cared for by one dot, and that truth was more frightening than any jungle monster. Night fell softly over the jungle, covering the camp in silver moonlight. Leora and Evan sat beside the quiet fire, drawing shapes on paper that fluttered in the warm breeze. Everything felt peaceful, almost too peaceful. But inside Leora, the storm was growing again. She watched Evan from the corner of her eye. The way he smiled, the way he tried to stay strong despite his wounds, the way he spoke with honesty, even when embarrassed. Every small piece of him made her chest feel heavy in a way she could not understand. She was supposed to fear humans, but she feared something else now. She feared losing him. Leora looked down at the picture she had drawn. 2 small figures standing under a glowing tree. One tall, one short. One human, one alien. It felt like a story that had not yet happened, but might. Evan noticed her staring at the drawing. "That's beautiful," he said softly. Leora's heart squeezed. "It is you and me, under the moon." Evan froze. The firelight reflected in his eyes, giving them a deep, warm glow. His voice was gentle, almost shy. "I like that idea," he whispered. The words wrapped around Leora like a warm blanket. Until a sudden voice shattered everything. "Leora!" She jumped to her feet. Evan stood instantly despite the pain, grabbing the metal rod with one hand. From the trees, 3 figures emerged, tall, glowing, with armor made from moon crystals. Her people, the Moonburn Guard. Leora stepped back in shock. What are you doing here?" The leader, a stern female with silver eyes, pointed her spear at Evan. "Step away from the human, Leora." Evan tightened his grip on the metal rod. Leora moved between them. "No, he is not dangerous." The guard captain narrowed her eyes. We tracked a razor claw. Then we sensed human blood spilled on our land. Leora, what have you done? Leora's heart raced. He saved me. The razor claw. Attacked, Evan fought it alone. He protected me. The guards exchanged alarmed looks, as if Leora had said something impossible. Humans protect females? One whispered. That cannot be true. Leora stepped forward boldly. Your stories are wrong. Humans do not eat their females. Humans do not harm their partners. Humans protect. The captain's gaze sharpened at Evan. Is this true? Evan forced himself to stand tall. I don't know what stories you heard. But yes, humans protect. The people we care about. Leora's cheeks flushed. The captain lowered her spear slightly, but her tone remained harsh. Even if that is true, Leora, you broke our law. You interacted with a human alone. You shared camp, you shared time. Her eyes turned cold. You created a bond. Leora froze. Her breath stopped. A bond? She whispered. The captain nodded. Your heart has chosen. And once a moonburn female bonds, it cannot be reversed. Evan blinked. Wait, what does that mean? Leora stepped back, shaking. I didn't choose. I didn't, but she knew. Her heart knew. And her people saw it clearly. Evan stepped forward. Is she in trouble because of me? The guards raised their spears threateningly. Do not move, human. Leora rushed forward. Stop, he did nothing wrong. The captain's cold voice cut through the night. Leora, your bond is forbidden. No moonburn may bond with a human. You are coming with us. No, Leora cried. The guards grabbed her. Arms, she struggled, eyes wide with panic. Evan, she shouted, reaching toward him. He limped forward, but the guards blocked him. Stay back, human. Leora's voice cracked. Don't leave me. You said humans don't let go. Evan's eyes filled with fear, not for himself, but for her. Leora, he shouted. I'm not letting go. I'm not, but he couldn't reach her. The guards pulled her away. She dug her heels into the dirt, trying to resist, tears running down her cheeks. Please stop, she cried. He saved me. He protected me. I chose him. The captain's face softened for just a moment. Then that is the problem. Evan roared, voice filled with pain and anger. Bring her back. She doesn't want to go. But the guards were strong. They dragged Leora into the trees. She reached out desperately. Evan, humans protect. Humans don't let go, you promised. Evan stepped forward, a spear tip pressed against his chest. The captain whispered coldly, if you follow, human, we will consider it an act of war. And like that, Leora disappeared into the glowing forest. The jungle grew silent again. Evan dropped to his knees, breathing hard, pain stabbing through his side. But none of it hurt, as much as the emptiness in his chest. He stared at the place where she vanished. His voice cracked. Leora, I'm not letting go, I promise. In the darkness, something awoke inside him, not fear, not confusion. Something stronger, a human instinct more powerful than any monster in the jungle, the instinct to protect what he loves, and that instinct was about to start a war.